Hello, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, will you start, ma'am?
Yeah, can I start?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, very good afternoon, one and all the participants and the host, organizers of MMTC University of Mysore. So I think my introduction is not required again. Okay. So the topic for today's the present session it is protection of traditional knowledge. It means how this concept traditional knowledge it is connected to IKS, Bharatiya Jnana Parampara or Indian knowledge system. So how this traditional knowledge should be protected, especially when you say traditional knowledge is related to IKS, and in the present situation, what is the status of TK, that is a traditional knowledge, and how it is relevant, and how to protect traditional knowledge. So these are the things we're going to understand, discuss, understand. In between, if you have any query, you can stop in, ask question, or if you feel that you can post questions in your chat box, you can do that. So before I start my lecture, I just want you to share your understanding about the concept of traditional knowledge. What do you mean by traditional knowledge? Because it's very common term. You find it in your kitchen, you find it in your household activity. What do you mean by traditional knowledge? Any participant? Because morning we discussed about knowledge, right? By through way of inquiry, pramana shastras, you acquire a valid knowledge. But what sort of knowledge can be identified as traditional knowledge?
ತಲೆಮಾರಿನಿಂದ ತಲೆಮಾರಿಗೆ ಹರಿದು ಬಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂತ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್.
ಹೌದು. The knowledge which passes from generation to generation can be identified as traditional knowledge. But I just want you, any one participant, to name the traditional knowledge. Name them.
Janapada Gita.
Tulsi and turmeric as medicines.
Okay,
which is available right easily.
Song, folk culture, folk turmeric, neem. Okay, apart from that. So here, is it slide changed?
Yeah.
Okay, just show me a thumbs up, that is more than sufficient for me. So now, when you use the term traditional knowledge, just 1 minute, I'll go to the slide share. Is it visible now?
Okay.
So here, when we say traditional knowledge, the knowledge related to our custom, practice, or tradition. I can say the very simple meaning, ancient Indian wisdom, which can be identified as traditional knowledge of India. But why do we call it as IKS? And why we should protect or think about protecting these traditional knowledge? In the morning, as we have already said, the IKS is nothing but knowing your own roots. That is your IKS or our IKS. Ancient Indian wisdom, in which we come across a part of ancient Indian wisdom, we come across with the concept of your traditional knowledge in all the fields. It may be medicine, it may be your the household items, or it may be your folk culture, it may be your any other art and culture, craft, architecture. In all these fields, we come across with the Indian traditional knowledge. Example, as you people highlighted clearly, that is a neem. So neem, all of us, we have information or a knowledge passed from generation to generation in an oral form, mouth to mouth, from generation to generation. Neem has a quality of using as a pesticides. Apart from that, it has some medicinal qualities. It can be used as a beauty products, or maybe as a shampoo or herbal, all those things. Yes, it is a traditional knowledge which we are aware about it, not just the present situation, present generation, from since time immemorial. I'm using a word, any knowledge, any information which is passed from generation to generation, need not to be in a written form, passes from word to word, from mouth to mouth, since time immemorial, that particular knowledge can be identified as traditional knowledge. Second, turmeric. What is the quality of a turmeric, or the turmeric powder? Yes, Priyanka ma'am, you have to unmute and
Antibiotic. Anti-inflammatory, antibiotic.
yes, very simple layman language, I can say it has a wound healing
Medicine.
capacity, a quality. The moment you start bleeding because of the wounds or injuries, the moment you apply turmeric powder or the turmeric clay or the paste, automatically the bleeding will stop. Or if you have cough, cold, add a pinch of turmeric into a hot milk and consume it. To some extent, it may get reduced. So all these are the items which are available in our own household. This is a kitchen, which every ma or every mother knows about it, and which is passed from generation to generation. This is the two best example of Indian traditional knowledge, and which as a present generation, we have to know, we should know about it, and the same thing we have to pass to the next generation, so that the Indian traditional knowledge should be well protected, and it should not be misappropriated, or it should not be exploited by other countries by obtaining IPR, intellectual property rights. So apart from that, I think all of us now we are falling for the term organic items, right? We always say organic farming. What do you mean by organic farming in the present situation? Items are expensive, goods are expensive. Why? Why do we fall for organic item or organic term?
Free of chemicals.
They have not used any pesticides or fertilizer to grow that particular crop.
Yeah, using old and traditional fertilizers or a mud without using any chemical spray, they will grow agriculture goods, food grains in a very traditional cultivation, very traditional method. So we always feel it is a safe for food consumption. So organic farming, organic products or the goods or the food grains are available in the market. I don't know whether it is actually authenticated original organic or just a label organic is being used. But we fall for organic because it is a safe for consumption for human beings. And whatever we use as the term organic, right? It is a traditional method of agriculture system, traditional method of cultivation, which was followed since time immemorial among Indian community, Indian agricultural community, that is IKS. The method of cultivation, the method of harvesting, method of preservation of any variety, plant varieties, the method of sowing seeds or maybe the irrigation, how to control the pest control. All these are the methods, olden methods, which can be adopted without giving scope for use of chemical or any sort of unwanted fertilizers for the good yield, which is part of agricultural knowledge of India, which is nothing but organic, which is nothing but traditional knowledge. So similar to that, we have traditional knowledge, ancient Indian wisdom in all the fields. Okay. So something like mathematics, what is a traditional knowledge? Morning, I just said 1.0 is a contribution from our sides to the whole world in the field of mathematics, Aryabhatta, right? The second, astronomy. It means these are the fields. These are the fields we come across Indian traditional knowledge, which all of us we are aware about, but it should not be misused and it should be protected, well protected through law. So in the field of mathematics, zero contribution, zero means, okay, there is a contribution, it's a great value. Second, astronomy. Astronomy, I can use a word panchanga. Using a panchanga in olden days, they used to calculate monsoon, they used to estimate graha planetary, the planet's movement or the leap year, or all those things used to be checked. Having the knowledge with respect to panchanga, there's nothing but astronomy. We need not to rely on some foreign entity or the foreign information. So the literature, and very important when you say IKS, the documents, the ancient text, I can use the word ancient text. In the field of literature, Arthashastra, Yajnavalkya Smriti or Manusmriti, Vedas, Shastra, Dharma Shastra, these are the literature in different languages. I think how many languages India has? Any idea? Official maybe 28 or the 29 languages which are printed on the old notes. Apart from that, there are languages which are not commonly used in the present situation by the present generation. It may be a Prakrit, it may be Pariti, maybe Sanskrit. So there are so many languages. I think I should mention here the Sanskrit is always identified as a mother of all the languages. Whatever Varnamalas we have, the grammars we have, the pronunciation we have borrowed the root or the foundation is a Sanskrit. It has been accepted, well accepted. So in case of grammar, yes, particular language, it has been well established or well discussed in all the ancient texts. So now when we come to music, art, it is nothing but the folk culture based on which many movies are released. So it may be simply called as the Janapada Loka, the Janapada Nritya, the Janapada Sangeeta, right? So all these are the traditional knowledge, the way of dance form, the dance style, which are practiced. But the important thing here it is, unless it is highlighted by some cinemas, we will not get to know about those traditional art and culture of our India. So that is where we are lagging behind. We are not getting a global identification for the Indian culture, Indian art and craft. Yeah, best important thing it is when come to the art or the architecture, Brihadeshwara, Tanjavur, Brihadeshwara temple, it is known for its, right? A huge base, right? Where a good architecture style is adopted in those centuries. That is in the very previous era, the ancient times, the temple was constructed. And there is always a popular saying that is the shadow of the temple does not fall on the floor. But as per the scientific reason, only during a noon time, the shadow does not fall on the floor. Otherwise, it is. What is a scientific reason? Please remember, whatever the temple architecture we have, the architecture skill, what we have adopted, it has its scientific, the logical reasoning or the scientific result. It is not just by doing a miracle or not giving importance to art, just a mere art of the culture. So that's the reason when we say the thing what we identified as Indian traditional knowledge are developed, are nourished, or it has been protected to some extent, having scientific inquiry and has a spiritual thought along with it. Because when I said the turmeric has a healing capacity, it is, we always connected with the turmeric with the spiritual thoughts, right? Or if you go to Brihadeshwara temple, it is not just the temple architecture skill, it is highlighted over there. It is always connected to your divine spirit, or maybe the spiritual or a religious sentiment, all those things. So whatever traditional knowledge, what we highlight, what we have developed, what we have protected and nurtured so far, it is a combination of science and the spiritual thought. So that's the reason till today it holds good related in the present situation. So next, when we come to medicine, it is Ayurveda is the best example of IKS. I think all of you are aware about a Shushruta, a first, what do you call it as rhinoplastic, rhino surgery or something. There is a medical term, no? There is nothing but your the plastic surgery. It was the first person who came out with the concept of plastic surgery during the Anglo-Indian War or the Anglo-Maratha War. I don't remember exactly. That is the first war where the soldiers were, the soldier nose, face was injured, disfiguration took place. So in an ancient text, which clearly indicates the plastic surgery came out in India, it was started in India, or it is nurtured in India since way back in ancient period, or Ayurveda, all those things. So it means these are the few fields or discipline where we come across with the concept of traditional knowledge, followed, adopted, nurtured, nourished by ancient people or the old generation by passing it to the next generation. So now, moving ahead, why should we protect traditional knowledge? Why the younger generation should be aware about the traditional knowledge? Or why it is traditional knowledge is not well highlighted in the present society, or why there is no much significance or the importance is not given to the traditional knowledge? When compared to your English medicine, Ayurveda, it is not well recognized in the present situation also. If you know the taste or the reality importance of Ayurveda, only you just go and opt for Ayurveda when compared to the English medicine. Otherwise, most of the Indians, we prefer Indian English medicine because fast healing, fast result when compared to Ayurveda. So that we have to overcome, make Indians to realize traditional knowledge, it is better than any other. But still, what is the challenges? What is the risk? What is the reason why traditional knowledges are not completely identified or accepted by the young generation? The first important here it is, though, as already mentioned, in different fields we come across with a traditional knowledge. Why it is so relevant? Please remember, traditional knowledge, it is efforts of thousands of people, many generation, since thousands of years it is nurtured and preserved. May not to be an effective manner, but it is the effort of many generation passed from generation to generation. The second important thing it is, even though it is ancient Indian wisdom, but still it has a relevancy or a related to the present situation because the timeless functionality. The turmeric 100 years back, 1000 years back, but in the present situation also it has its own quality, which has quality of healing wounds or other stop bleeding, something like that. So because of the timeless functionality, and most important, the Indian traditional knowledge can be adaptable. Is there any difference between adopt and the adaptability? Because I said IKs can be adoptable and IKs can be adaptable with the local condition. Is there any difference between adopt and adaptable? Okay, I'll just give one example. Is it possible for us to go back to pavilion, that is adopt a Gurukula system in the present situation?
Adopt is to borrow, no ma'am? Borrow.
Yes. Okay. Can we borrow
Adopt.
Gurukula system in the present education system?
No.
Why?
Adaptation is adjusting or like accommodating oneself to the situation is adaptability.
Yes. While adapting, you have to see the local condition. IKS is nothing but these three things. Because I just explained with the Gurukula system, when we say Gurukula system, most of the people think it should not be encouraged in the present situation. According to their understanding or the system which was prevailed at that time, Gurukula system education was not offered to all the community people or not all the section people. Okay, but I don't say exactly adopt the Gurukula as it is at present, but there are few qualities. Example, the rapport between the Guru and the Shishya, which was an existent Gurukula system, same thing should be adopted by with a changing scenario in the present situation, so that in the present situation, the good rapport can be established between the student and the teacher and understand the student capacity, need, requirement, and change your education system so that holistic development of a student, which is a main objective of NEP. So any traditional knowledge which you take, easily we can, without having a second thought, we can adopt traditional knowledge. But there may be some changes, a slight changes. You change, make it adaptable in the present situation, local
Madam, we can't.
Am I audible to everybody?
No, madam, you are not audible. Now you are. For 1 or 2 minutes, you were.
Is it
Some
audible now?
Your voice is breaking, ma'am.
Ma'am, is it audible now?
yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Now,
Now
yes,
audible.
ma'am.
Yeah, the slide is also visible, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience. I just quickly go. Yeah, so as I've already said, when you say traditional knowledge, you cannot, as it is, you cannot adopt or follow traditional knowledge. You make some changes adjusting to the present situation. It may be medicine, it may be any form of the culture, or maybe any Gurukula system, whatever it is. The timeless functionality and which can be easily adaptable and adoptable in the present situation. That is the most important thing. So now, important thing here it is, what are the challenges which are faced in the present situation in the field of traditional knowledge? Please remember, I think India is always facing challenges because of the globalization. We don't fulfill, or we don't live up to the standard of a globalization or the market standard or maybe the international level because some of the other reasons. But now the question, why can't we give importance to traditional knowledge, or why a few younger generation don't recognize or accept the traditional knowledge because of the globalization? When we say globalization, as I've already said, doesn't having a value when compared to English medicine. Okay, but at present, slowly, where awareness is being created among foreigners with respect to the traditional knowledge that is of yoga. Even foreigners are accepting the significance or the importance of yoga system, which brings a holistic development of people, or is a yoga or a meditation able to give good mental health to all the people in the whole world. So because of the globalization, traditional knowledge has been facing the challenges. So, but what sort of challenges? So I'll just explain one case study. I think all of you, I don't know how many of you are aware about this. CSIR. So what is a traditional knowledge challenge? I think in the beginning you said the turmeric has healing capacity, which is identified as Indian traditional knowledge. But what is a case law, the case study? As all of us we know, since ancient time, it is a household item. All of us are aware about it. In 1995, Mississippi University, a research scholar comes out with a patent application, files a patent application before the US Patent Office saying he has invented something from turmeric. What is it, his invention? Turmeric has a healing capacity. It can heal the wounds. It has some healing capacity, anti-inflammatory, all those qualities are there in a turmeric. I have invented it. Give me a patent. I think if you are aware, patent means invention must be there. That invention must be innovation, inventive step, novelty, utilityness. Monopoly rights is given to you. The patent belongs to you. Only you can prepare and manufacture using turmeric. So that sort of patent was given to that particular Mississippi University research scholar with respect to turmeric. and he started exploiting patent in the year 94-95. Immediately, India got to know about it. That is the Indian Council, this India's Council for Scientific and Industrial Research filed an objection in a US patent office saying that is turmeric has been used in India's time immemorial and is being identified as traditional knowledge. So when you say something is identified as traditional knowledge of one country, cannot be registered with any sort of IPR in any corner of the world. So the objection was filed by this CSIR. The question was, how do you prove turmeric quality or the turmeric healing capacity is a traditional knowledge? Because whenever you file objection for granting of patent, you have to come up with evidence or the proof in a documentary format. So CSIR took a time, give us that 6 months or maybe some time, the time was granted in order to collect evidence, that is a documentary or any particular text in the written form, which can prove before a patent office of US that it the domain of India, each was about qualities. It is not new in India. When it is not new in any of the corner of the world, no patent can be granted by any patent office. So time was borrowed by CSIR and started searching for text. Okay, at that time, online sources was not available or a digital library was not available to search, browse and get it the facilities which are available at present. So the council started searching for the text. Most of the text related to the use of turmeric having a healing capacity was in Sanskrit. It collected. And there are so many Indian Medical Association articles which were published where mentioning the healing capacity of the turmeric. And other text, ancient text, which was in the knowledge, in the language of Sanskrit, the Prakrit and Tamil, most of the text of ancient texts were found in Tamil language. So all the text in a documentary form, in a written form, which was collected, translated, and produced before the US Patent Office, mentioning these are the evidence which proves turmeric is a traditional knowledge. It is available in the public domain of India, even though it is not available in a world, but it is available for Indians. So patent for a turmeric, it is not a new one. So reject the patent. So in the year 1997, the US patent office terminated the patent which was granted to a inventor with respect to turmeric, similar to pesticides quality of a neem. So here, why am I explaining this particular case law? As I've already said, the traditional knowledge are facing challenges because of the globalization. We affect legal protection or the laws to protect traditional knowledge. Okay, here, because it means when you say a traditional knowledge, if some foreigner gets to know, some company gets to know, they start extracting it and they start exploiting it. And they mint money like anything. And again, it is a loss of economy for the India or the people who are preserving that particular traditional knowledge. So this is one just example of turmeric case where the turmeric identified as a traditional knowledge facing challenges because of the globalization. So the next in this circumstances where only through laws, the traditional knowledge can be well protected in India so that it cannot be exploited by the foreigners or any companies. Because when you say traditional knowledge, the question always arises, who developed the traditional knowledge? Who is preserving the traditional knowledge? To whom the traditional knowledge belongs? Any idea? Who can be called as the owner of the traditional knowledge? Who can be called as the owner of the traditional knowledge? Okay, who is the owner of, I forgot, organic farming? Can we say who is the owner of organic farming? Organic farming is a traditional knowledge, right?
See, those who are practicing and experience, then only they can.
I can say a particular community, farmer community, is the
Yes.
owner of the organic farming. Without their permission, it cannot be exploited,
Correct.
or it belongs to them. It is a traditional knowledge. Similar manner, whenever
Yes.
you say traditional knowledge, right, it belongs to a particular community. We call them as indigenous people or indigenous community. Example, the herbs which are provided in a forest, which can cure any diseases. That particular herbs are discovered or maybe preserved and nurtured by tribal community. So tribal community gets ownership of, I cannot say ownership, the tribal community have made a contribution for preservation of that traditional knowledge, herbs or maybe any plants or any neem, any particular leaf. If some person wants to exploit, they have to pay compensation to that particular tribal community or the indigenous community. Okay, I think one example I can give here, it is a Namdari seeds. What is the main object of the Namdari seed company? To develop new seeds so that the new seeds can give a good variety, high yield, high variety, a quantity more than a quality. They give importance to the quantity so that the farmers can grow more and more and get money. And this developing a new seeds, it is nothing but a variety. How sapling used to be cultivated, a sapling process is to be adopted. That is a traditional knowledge of Indian farmers community. Okay, so here the most important challenges which are faced by the indigenous community people or the indigenous group of people with respect to traditional knowledge, especially with respect to farmers community, here it is, the farmers community, they are not their effort, their traditional knowledge, it has not been recognized properly. Okay, and they are exploited by seeds companies without giving any compensation to them. That is the one example. Second important thing, it is whatever traditional knowledge we have, the most or maybe the few younger generation, they don't want to follow the footsteps of the tradition or the ancestors, because they think if we stick on to the traditional knowledge, organic farming, we don't get economic benefits. That is the reason they just come out of the traditional organic farming and adopt a new technology, advanced technology of farming or cultivation, so that finally they get good benefits. This is the challenges. The present young generation should accept the important significance of the traditional knowledge. Only then the traditional knowledge can be better improved or protected, or it is well protected. So the last point with respect to challenges here, it is, I said the traditional knowledge also includes dance forms. The traditional knowledge also includes art, culture, paintings. How many people, young generation, wants to continue with the same profession, same business? When they think we don't get a wider exposure, we don't get economic benefits, we will not stick to traditional knowledge, traditional way of knowledge. So because it is not economically good, viability, it is lacking. So these are the few the challenges which we are facing in protection or promoting traditional knowledge. But how to overcome from this? So that we will discuss. So the next challenges here, it is the holder or the protector of traditional knowledge. As I've already said, when you say traditional knowledge, it doesn't belong to the ownership of one particular individual. Okay, it belongs to a particular community, maybe a farmers community, village community, or a tribal people, indigenous community. Okay, there are, I think in Andhra Pradesh also, I'll just give one example here. At present also it is going on. Andhra Pradesh people, there is one particular family, one particular the community people, a group of people, or a community people, a group of people where they know how to cure a particular person having or with a snake bite. The moment the snake bites a particular person, either you have to take that patient, a person, to the doctor, but there is no guarantee that he will recover, he will survive. But that particular community in Andhra Pradesh is using some herbs, using some traditional knowledge, and remove all the poison from the body of the person. And the person automatically he will survive. But the question here it is, the service what is rendered by these community people, it is a free of cost. That is the first thing. And the second thing it is, they're not ready to share their knowledge with the other community or the any other particular persons. Okay. But here, why the knowledge holders of these traditional knowledge, they're not coming forward to share knowledge with others, because they are under the apprehension it can be economically exploited by others. Second, it can be misappropriated by others. The third, it can be misused or not handled properly by others. And next important thing it is, the traditional knowledge, it is always developed, nurtured by old generation. And as I already said, without having a written document or the proper documentation, passes from generation to generation only through mouth or the words. As and when the particular generation people die, there is no documentation, the traditional knowledge will come to an end. That should not happen actually. So this is also a challenge where the knowledge holders are not sharing it in a document format, because of which the loss of traditional knowledge takes place. And the second, as I already said, if at all it is shared with other people or the company or outsiders, it may be misappropriated by people. And the third, next, the cultural erosion. What is the cultural erosion? As I already said, the community people who have nurtured, preserved the traditional knowledge, the old generation will stick on to that, but the new young generation will not be ready to accept and continue with the same activity or the same profession or the same culture, because they get easily carried away, or most of them, or maybe few, get easily carried away or get influenced by the modern culture. So here, because of the cultural change, the traditional knowledge is facing a challenge, because we are not accepting it, because it is not very glamorous for us. We don't get a much exposure at the international level. So now, because of all these challenges, in spite of that, we have to protect our traditional knowledge. So what are the measures taken by the government of India, maybe the parliament, or maybe particular CSIR department, or all those things? So when we say protection of traditional knowledge, we have two concepts, the two steps which are taken. One, it is defensive protection, other is a protective protection. Okay. When we say defensive protection, the administrative action taken to preserve and nurture and safeguard traditional knowledge. So here, as I've already said, most of the traditional knowledge are undocumented, exist in the society, but we have knowledge, but to prove that existence of the traditional knowledge, we don't have proper documentation. That was, I can say the turmeric case was an eye-opener for the Union of India. That is the government of India. The government of India took an initiative saying that is whatever traditional knowledge we have, okay, maybe ancient text, Sanskrit language, put it in other language, translate that into other language, and make it available on a public domain, and that should be made available to whole world. Because when you obtain a patent, if it is that information, that particular object is available in public domain, patent cannot be granted. Available in the public domain means it is not just available in a written printout textbook or the written text within the border of India. It should be made available to the whole world. So that was lacking, because of which the turmeric got a patent by a US patent office for a US person. To overcome that challenge, the two, that is CSIR as well as the Ministry of Ayush, Ayurveda, Unani, that particular ministry took a decision, measure. We will have a TKDL. What is a TKDL? Traditional Knowledge Digital Library. I think I need not explain what is a digital library. It is an information source or the library. The moment you click on a particular button, information is available to the whole world. The moment information available, online information is available to the whole world, it is already available to the public. It is not a new invention. So patent cannot be granted. So that was the defensive protection which was granted to the all types of traditional knowledge. Whatever traditional knowledge we have in all discipline, they collect the text of different languages, translate into English, translate into other languages, and made available on digital platform. So if you get a time, please go to Ayush Ministry, TKDL library, digital library, open that particular website or the library, you get n number of information, knowledge about the traditional knowledge which are well protected, preserved and nourished. If it is available, traditional knowledge, no IPR. Because why I'm giving this particular example, we have an international the convention or a treaty or agreement which is called as a TRIPS, Trade Related Intellectual Property Rights. It is an agreement which is enacted by the World Organization. There is an article, a clause in the TRIPS to protect traditional knowledge. What it says, if something is identified as traditional knowledge in any corner of world, in any state, in any country, same cannot be granted with IPR in some other country. So turmeric is identified as a traditional knowledge of India. That's the reason the patent was terminated by the US Patent Office. Okay, so that was a measure which was taken by the TKDL, Ministry of Ayush, as well as the CSI, collected all the knowledge textbook made available in a digital library. So traditional knowledge of India is well protected in a defensive manner. Apart from that, as I've already said, defensive manner is nothing but the documentation of traditional law. The second the method of documentation is the People's Biodiversity Register. I think when you say traditional knowledge, the biological diversity of India plays a very important role. It is your plants, trees, forest, everything. Ayurveda, it is nothing but herbs which are available in forest, available in any biodiversity or the forest area, reserve forests of India, within the territorial limits of India. So now to preserve the plant varieties, we have a plant registry, plant registered in the Plant Varieties Act. To preserve biodiversity of India, the traditional knowledge pertaining to the biodiversity of India, the government of India, through an enactment, we call it as a Biodiversity Act, under which the National Biodiversity Authority is constituted. The authority should list out all the traditional knowledge with respect to biodiversity available in India and make a document that is we call it as the Biodiversity Register. So it is registered, it is a traditional knowledge. If you want to use it, take a prior consent, pay some money, start using it. Otherwise, biodiversity traditional knowledge cannot be used, exploited by any person, whether it is a foreigner or the company or Indian. So that is a second, maintaining a documentation, maintaining a documents which says, yes, it is available, it is a traditional knowledge, belongs to India, it cannot be exploited by obtaining the IPR or it cannot be exploited by anybody. So that is a defensive protection which are taken. Next, what is a positive protection? When you say positive protection, it is nothing but making laws. Because I said, if you think about protecting something, it may be protecting your property rights, protecting your properties, or protecting your contract, protecting your personal life, or protecting your body. Until unless there is a law, there is no protection for you, right? Your body can be protected against a crime because we have criminal laws. To protect your property, we have property laws. You have codes. In the same manner, the ministry took a decision. We should enact new laws. So that making new laws by the Parliament of India, which we call it as the positive protection. We have so many laws, a few laws which I highlight here. First important thing it is with respect to the turmeric or the traditional knowledge, we have a Patent Act 1970. But this Patent Act doesn't directly deal with the traditional knowledge, protection of traditional knowledge, but there is a section 3. So in that section 3, which clearly says, if something which is identified as a traditional knowledge, your patent should not be granted. So section 3P, which clearly said, a traditional knowledge may be with respect to sandal, paste sandal, the traditional knowledge pertaining to turmeric or your Indian curry or a Indian the neem, something which is identified as traditional knowledge, the patent cannot be granted. Indirectly, law prohibits patenting of traditional knowledge. So apart from that, we have a TRIPS at international level, TRIPS agreement. As I've already said, once something it is identified as traditional knowledge, patent IPR cannot be granted. No copyright, no trademark, no GA, and no patent for that. It should be recognized as a traditional knowledge. So TRIPS, the International Convention Agreement, clearly says the country which is having its own traditional knowledge can develop new laws. It means they can have their own sui generis laws. They can come up with their new legal regime to protect traditional knowledge, because of which the patent law section 3p, no patent for a traditional knowledge. The Biological Diversity Act, traditional knowledge should be preserved, make an entry in a register. If it is identified, entry in register, that cannot be exploited by any companies, pharmaceutical company, beauty products company, any individual, any research person, until unless you take a prior consent from the beholder, that is the knowledge holders of the traditional knowledge, and share your benefit. So the second, under the same BDA Act, I said how traditional knowledge should be protected. Please remember, keeping traditional knowledge with us will not serve any purpose. Traditional knowledge should be shared with others. But two conditions: tribal people can share their traditional knowledge with others with a prior consent clause or the agreement. The second, using traditional knowledge, if a value added products are manufactured, example, Himalayan company comes out with Ayurveda beauty products and extracted traditional knowledge from tribal community with their consent. By giving a consent, giving compensation, it is not sufficient. The BDA Act, Biological Diversity Act, clearly says when any company, any foreigner, any Indian, any person gets a traditional knowledge access, use the traditional knowledge and comes out with a value added product, gets a benefit, he should share benefit with that community people. In that circumstances where the economic benefit will be given to the holders of the traditional knowledge, and they come forward, they get motivated. Yes, I have to preserve and nourish and develop more and more, continue with the traditional knowledge, so that it will be made available to the public at large, and we will also get economic benefits. That is a provision which is available in a Plant Varieties Act also, as well as a BDA Act also. So apart from that, it is the Forest Rights Act. When we say forest, it is a habitat, natural habitat for the animals as well as for tribal community people, right? So when you have a right to live there, you exercise your right to preserve and protect and share your traditional knowledge. Simultaneously, you get economic benefits in the form of benefit sharing. So these laws, maybe whatever the laws which I've mentioned, Patent Act or the BDA Act or the Plant Varieties Act or maybe Forest Act, one side, it try to preserve traditional knowledge. When you preserve as a community, you put your effort and share the traditional knowledge. In return, you get a share in a benefits earned, economic benefits earned by the person using traditional knowledge from your place. So this is how, through law, protect, get economic benefits when you are a knowledge holder or preserving and protecting the traditional knowledge in India. Okay, but important thing here it is, we don't have an exclusive, that is a drawback. We don't have an exclusive legislation concentrate only on traditional knowledge. Here and there's a few sections, few provisions in different legislations. Okay, so the next, as I've already said, we don't have exclusive legislation to protect traditional knowledge. And more important thing, traditional knowledge, a particular right cannot be given. And it doesn't belong to a particular individual. The reason here it is, the traditional knowledge belongs to a particular community who are residing in a particular region or are residing in a particular area. Example, the tribal community of Chamraj Nagar, who are there in a forest area. They have their own traditional knowledge with how to use herbs. I just give one example. There is a tribal community people in Tamil Nadu forest area. Since maybe way back, very old example, I don't know whether it exists or not. There is the tribal people used to reside in that hill or the forest area of Tamil Nadu. They were well acquainted with a particular leaf, and they were having a knowledge. If you eat that particular leaf, the energy, it acts like an energy booster. After consuming the leaf, you will not get tired and they can walk fast. So how this news was brought to the limelight of a scientist or maybe the research or foreigners who got information about this, and they wanted to research in the forest area. They took a help of this particular tribal people, and after climbing the hills or the mountains in that particular forest or walking through inside the forest, these people got tired. But the tribal community people, they ate some leaf, this particular plant, the leaf, sugandha, something they call it as in Tamil. They, after consuming this particular leaf, they started walking very fast, which was noticed by the outsider, the scientist or the research people. And they asked, we got tired, but you people did not get tired. What is, especially after consuming that particular leaf, you became more energetic and you're walking very fast. So then the tribal community people, they said, this particular leaf can act like an energy booster. What we consume, no energy, what is it? Boost is the secret of my energy, something like that. So that leaf acts as an energy booster. So that was a knowledge which was shared by that particular community people. Subsequently, the scientists wanted to get the traditional knowledge, extract the leaf content, and they tried to do a research, but completely it was a failure. They wanted to come out with the capsules like energy booster. Instead of consuming the direct leaf, they wanted to continue the research, comes out with their capsules and can act as energy booster, especially for the sugar level diabetic patient. But it was not worked out properly. Just giving this example. So because the traditional knowledge doesn't belongs to one particular individual or a particular group of people, it belongs to a community or the tribal community, indigenous community, the villages. And we don't have the particular legislation to identify a grant right to one particular. Because, but best thing I should mention here, it is once you identified as a traditional knowledge, no IPR can be given. Because when you say IPR, right, the cultural form, copyright can be given, the geographical indication, Darjeeling tea, the geographical indication can be given, or trademarks can be given. But with respect to traditional knowledge, we don't have a particular IPR. It itself is a right which belongs to a community. That is the reason where it is not well protected, as being exploited by others. So the next challenge here, even though we have laws, but traditional knowledge, you cannot fit the traditional knowledge under the concept of IPR, because IPR, intellectual property rights, a monopoly right, it is given for the limited period. Example, patent. The patent rights for 20 years. After that, patent doesn't exist. It becomes a public property. Copyright, life plus 60 years. After that, no copyright. Trademark, as long as you are there as a goods, trademark. So we don't want IPR period of protection for a traditional knowledge, because after a certain period, the IPR monopoly right or the rights comes to an end. The property belongs to public property. Anybody can use it. We don't want that protection, that sort of protection, because the traditional knowledge, it is a timeless functionality, which is the characteristics of traditional knowledge, which should be useful. It should be preserved throughout the life, from century to century, from generation to generation. A monopoly right which you want to give it to the particular community, it should not be with a limited period. So that is where we need to work on it. Identify certain law, exclusive law, identify certain the monopoly rights, and gets a right, but for the countless time. Okay, so the next important thing here it is as I've already said, traditional knowledge which belongs to the tribal community, it should not be hidden. It should be shared with others so that the whole world gets to the Indian traditional knowledge. But when tribal community people will come forward to share their knowledge, because to preserve and protect traditional knowledge, community people, please remember, community people, indigenous people and the village community or maybe the tribal people, they invest a lot of effort. Okay, that how you invest money, time, everything to nurture your kid, right? Your student as a teacher, parent for your kids. Same manner, the traditional knowledges are nurtured, preserved, protected by these indigenous people effortlessly and for so many time. Whatever investment, time, effort they do it, they should get something in return. So if there is economic benefit that motivates people to protect and preserve. So the BDA Biological Diversity Act as well as the Indian Plant Variety Act says under the legislation the fund should be created, BDF fund, that is we call it as a variety fund or we call it as the traditional knowledge or the the BDF fund. It is a fund, it is nothing but the account type. The example, Himalayan product, a Himalayan company using herbs from the forest comes out with the beauty products with a glowing skin, acne removal or a tan removal, and 10 pieces of beauty products are manufactured, sold for 1,000 rupees. From the 1,000 rupees, 100 rupees, maybe 20% of the benefit should be shared with these community people. But there, the 10% of benefit Himalayan company should deposit with the BDF fund, that is Biological Diversity Fund, which is managed by National Biodiversity Authority under legislation. So whatever the fund it is deposited with the BDF fund, that should be distributed among the community people or the indigenous tribal people who are preserving and consume, which are protecting. The moment you share your benefit with these people, automatically it motivates them to preserve more and share more and more the traditional knowledge. Economic benefit takes place. So these are the certain suggestions or the measures which are adopted through legislation so that our Indian traditional knowledge can be well protected or well preserved, and it will be made available to generation for the whole world, so that the glorification, the acknowledge existence of the Indian traditional knowledge, which will be acknowledged throughout India, throughout the world. So that is protected, or it is done by TKDL, that is the digital traditional knowledge digital library, through a documentation. Okay, so finally, finally, apart from laws, apart from documentation, what else can be made by us, by people of India, the young generation, to protect traditional knowledge? First important thing, it is my personal opinion here, it is being a young generation, we should realize the importance of the traditional knowledge. We should inculcate, we should practice, we should use traditional knowledge. Okay, apart from that, the policy makers should give importance by framing new policies, so that exclusive legislation, exclusive type of right can be granted or created to protect traditional knowledge. And the last important the measure, what I can say here, it is preservation and the availability of the traditional knowledge to the future generation is very much important. For the better understanding, I'll give an example of water, right? Whatever water body which are available, we use it. The present generation can use water, available water resources. but simultaneously sustainable development, sustainability concept plays an important role. Whatever the natural resources which are available at present for all of us, we should think, preserve, and think to make it available to the next future generation also. In the same manner, the turmeric should be made available to the next generation. The neem should be made available to the next generation. That is possible only when the present generation, young generation, should understand the significance, made efforts to preserve and protect the traditional knowledge, and apart from that, effective laws, effective right, effective mechanism should be adopted so that the traditional knowledge will be made available to the future generation also. Otherwise, if traditional knowledge is just information shared from mouth to mouth, after 10 years, nobody will not, after 50 years, nobody will be having information about turmeric. Example, will not be knowing about the traditional knowledges of your family, the traditional knowledge of medicine, traditional knowledge of Ayurveda system, all those things. Okay, so this is what all from my side with respect to the traditional knowledge and the protection of traditional knowledge. So what measures which can be taken so that the traditional knowledge will be made available to the present and the future generation also. So if you have any question, the forum is open for all of you. Was it useful for all of you, all the 50, I think 50 participants?
It was really useful, ma'am.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Very much, ma'am. It is
Very informative.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, 2-3 minutes. I'll be logging. If you have any doubt, you can ask me because you need to attend a MCQ test at the end of your short-term course. Okay, anybody from Tamil Nadu here?
Yes, ma'am. I'm there.
Ma'am, if you have any information about the example what I gave you, right?
I was not sure of that exact leaf what you told, but I have
because I've
heard.
forgotten the name of the particular leaf or the plant. It has a sugandha something word in that. Okay. You need to unmute, I think.
Sorry, I was not sure of that exact name, so I just kept quiet. But I have heard this. I think, was it a part of that Nilgiri, that area?
Yeah, maybe I think some hill forest region. It's a very old story,
Even,
but it is an actual
we have this
story.
Kollimalai, a place called Kollimalai, where it is completely full of, it is Kollimalai.
Okay,
where you have lots of herbs. From there, you have all sorts of this, especially these medicinal oils kind of thing, which are made use of that herbs. It is Kollimalai.
Okay. Anybody from Kerala? Because the Kerala is known for traditional type of physiotherapy or healing system.
Yeah, it is there. Yeah. Ayurvedic. It is very famous for the Ayurvedic treatment here.
I think I heard there is some place inside the forest. I don't have complete information where if you have suffering from stroke and where a person can be treated well with oil massage or physiotherapy. What we call it as a physiotherapy now at present, according to English medicine. So these are the few examples where, that is the reason I said, when you say IKS, know your roots. Whatever traditional knowledge is available in your own state, available in your kitchen, for that matter, very simple, right? So a best example I can say, during the pandemic, right, we started drinking lots of kashayas, maybe homemade kashayas or Himalayan powder kashaya, Ayurveda kashaya, so many things. Like kashaya, it is nothing but use your traditional knowledge, information, make some hot drinks and consume it, so that you can automatically avoid the virus infection or develop strengthen the immunity system. That was a traditional knowledge. I can give a best example which we adopted or came out, realized during a pandemic pandemic time. Okay, so any no more doubts, right?
Yeah, I have a question to ask. Rather, I think
Yes,
we need to
ma'am.
discuss on this, ma'am. Ma'am, there are certain families which follow certain medicinal. They conduct certain medicinal. I don't know, like they're not doctors or they're not from medical background. Rather,
Yes,
they
yes,
have
yes.
they have passed on to the generation the knowledge that they have acquired, which cannot be
Yes.
revealed, it seems. A father practices certain medicinal no, the techniques. Okay, Nati Vaidya, we call them Nati Vaidya
Yes,
also.
Nati Vaidya.
They don't reveal it to the public, or it is not written anywhere. It is not documented because
Yes.
it has to be, that is maintained. Like it is passed to the
That's the reason
son
that's the
or
reason, ma'am.
next of kin, huh? Isn't it?
That's the reason I said whatever traditional knowledge what we have, right? I gave an example of snake bite, curing a snake bite, which is practiced in one family in Andhra Pradesh. So whatever traditional knowledge we have, first it is our effort from our side. We have to share it with the next generation. But the problem it is next generation will not be interested in it because it is not economically benefit for them. Okay, if the next generation is not ready to practice the same the type of medicine practice or all those things, at least to put in a written form. When you put it in written form, some documentation takes place. Even though my generation, my family members are not ready to inculcate, the documentation I give it to some other people, next some other community, some other generation, maybe after 10 years, 100 years, they will adopt and continuation of the traditional knowledge takes place. And
but in my experience, one thing happened, ma'am. Like they cannot share it. Okay, they cannot share it to the third person. Rather, it has to be passed to the immediate kin, next of kin. Okay,
that's what we call it as
if they pass it on, ma'am. I don't know. It is just superstitious or not. If they pass it on, it will not work. It seems it will not work. They say.
Yeah, that's
like
what it may be a superstitious belief. They think if I pass this information to some other person, you will not be having a better result. It may be a superstitious belief, but there is no scientific reason. If they share it and it will not get a better result, it may be superstitious. And the second here it is, some people, knowledge holders, they'll not come forward to share it because they may think it may be misused by others community because these knowledges, the knowledge which are practiced time immemorial, A to Z, they know about it. Without having A to Z knowledge about a particular type of medicine, you cannot administer that medicine to some other person. Okay, so when you say it belongs to a particular community, the family, they know in and out about the medicine. So they are the best person. That's the reason the holders of these knowledge, they think if I share it to an outsider who will not be having A to Z knowledge, he may misuse that. Automatically, the public health may be defeated. That apprehension will be there in their mind. And the next point, what I want to share it here, it is, even though they're ready to, because all these people, Nati Vaidya in Karnataka or other, they do it for free of cost. But our human tendency, whatever we get for free of cost, it is not useful for us. That is our mindset. We don't trust easily. Okay, so that is when we don't trust traditional knowledge, no, there is no point of sharing traditional knowledge or giving traditional knowledge. So that's the reason I said effort must be it must be a collective effort. The holder of the knowledge should share it. Being a public, we should realize it's important. We should document it. We should share it. Being a young generation, they should continue with the same knowledge. They should not think it is not economically benefit for me or all those things. And they, these are the few reasons why same family is not ready to continue with the traditional knowledge. So these are, that is, because everything cannot be monitored by government. Everything cannot be streamlined only through law. It is a collective responsibility of the public or the holders of the knowledge, as well as the law, as well as the government. Yeah, thank you. Okay, ma'am, that's all from my side. I thank all the participants for your patience listening. Apart from that, I thank Sir Nanjundaswamy sir
Hello,
for
namaste,
giving this
madam.
opportunity. I also thank, yes, sir. Rajanna sir, do you have any question? Okay, I thank MMTC, Mysore University for giving this opportunity. This is, I think, this is second IKS, because the previous IKS, it was an offline course in the month of March 2025, where I had come
Hello,
to Mysore
madam.
University to Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, Rajanna sir.
Hello, madam?
Yes, sir, you're audible to me. You can pose your question if you have.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
ಮೇಡಮ್, ಈಗ ಸಣ್ಣ ಸಣ್ಣ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ ಇರ್ತದಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ರೈತನಿಗೆ 20 ಕುಂಟೆ ಇರ್ತಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ.
ಹಾ ಸರ್.
ಹಲೋ,
ಹಾ ಸರ್, ಹೇಳಿ, ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿ ನಿಮ್.
ಅಂತವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಈಗ ನಾವು ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸರ್ಸ್ ಬಳಸಬೇಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸರ್ ಬಳಸ್ತೇ ಹೋದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಅವನಿಗೂ 20 ಕುಂಟೆಲಿ ಅವ್ನ ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಬಳಸ್ತೇ ಹೋದ್ರೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಪಕ್ಕದ ಜಮೀನುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ರೋಗ ಹೊಡೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ನ ಬೆಳೆ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಈಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತದ್ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಇದು ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಇದೆ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ವಿವರಣೆ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಂಥ ರೈತರಿಗೆ, ಸಣ್ಣ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಈ ತರದ್ದು. ಮುಂಚೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ದು, ಒಂದು ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಸರಿ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಸರಿ, ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರ ಸರಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅದನ್ನೇ ನಂಬ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋರ್ಗೆ.
ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಬಟ್ ಅದೇ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಇಂದ ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಇಳುವರಿ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಇಳುವರಿ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆದ್ರೆ ಸಾಲ ಮಾಡಿ ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಮಾಡೋರು ಸಾಲನೂ ತೀರ್ಸಕ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವಾಗ ಅವ್ರ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇವಾಗ ನನಗ್ ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತ್ ನಾನು ರಿಟೈರ್ಡ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ನಾನು ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ನನ್ಗೆ ಇದ್ಯಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಒಂದ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ಇಳುವರಿ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ವೇರ್ yielding is always less. When the yielding is less, output of your agriculture product is quantity, it is less, automatically the economic benefit is always less. In that circumstances, what I prefer, or what human tendency, what we will prefer, I'll go for using more and more pesticides, pest control. I'll go for a good fertilizer so that I get a good yield, more quantity. Automatically I get more economic benefits. That's the reason I said there must be a collective responsibility from all the sides. Only then you can protect, preserve, share traditional knowledge, Indian traditional knowledge.
Okay. Thank you, madam.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So I thank all the participants and Nanjundaswamy sir for giving this opportunity, and also the host. Okay, so that's all from my side. Thank you. Bye. Namaste. Sir, can I log out agla sir nanu?
Madam, just a minute. It was a very insightful and interesting session. So I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Gayatri Bai, the resource person, wholeheartedly for the thoughtful and lively session. She has actually given many examples, and she has made us understand the importance, and also the how to protect the IK's knowledge. So I'm really very, very happy for this session, sir, madam. I thank you wholeheartedly on behalf of MMTC and all the participants present here. Thank you once again.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, participants. Bye.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.